All right, guys, so it does look like Mr. Trump is going to be going live at the Crypto Summit today, so we'll get into that for you. It's going to be a good one. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back in Attack Path. We did another show earlier expecting a 1:30. It looks like they've moved the schedule, so it appears as though we're going to be launching or starting here around 3 o'clock. So when you look at Polymarket right now, there's a lot of things to be tracking as to what this summit is going to reveal. Let me kind of zoom in on that for you. What will Trump say during the Crypto Summit? These are some of the things that are trending right now. Crypto obviously leading at 59%, but also coin plus 5 on that at 73%. I was surprised to see TikTok on here, but that will be interesting if he does say something. Of course, AI, most likely just because of the situation that David Sachs brings to the table, which he is the crypto and AI czar. Solana, 36%. That's a pretty big one. Ethereum, 53%. And then you've got rug pull, not going to happen there. Energy, Barron Trump will he might be mentioned. Dogecoin, not likely. Russia, most likely. China, definitely. And then, of course, you can kind of see further on down here, Melania, Ripple at 30%, and ETF at 22%. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think that Trump is going to announce today, if there's any indicator that you've been watching. And of course, I think, you know, when you look at crypto Twitter in general, we have seen nothing but craziness, everything from tax breaks. Obviously, we did a video yesterday talking about the current economic position around digital assets in Japan, where they cut crypto capital gains tax dramatically down to 20%, which was up to 50%. So that was kind of a thing I was watching, whether or not Trump would come back in and actually do a match to that. So we'll see. PBS NewsHour is going to be doing this hopefully here in a few minutes, so they may be airing this slightly. We'll get into some other things as PBS gets ready to go live. I want to cover on who we think is going to be there. And we've talked a little bit about them. This is, of course, coming in from Eleanor Terrett. She continues to update there, but you can kind of see the majority whip will be there. That's, of course, Chris Dixon over at A16Z. Then you've got a handful of others. Mike Belshey coming in from BitGo. Obviously, Brad Garlinghouse from Ripple will be there. And it looks like Chris Giancarlo could be there. This is the former chair of the CFTC. And that's intriguing that he would be there. Huh. Why? What's going on with that one? Because he's currently kind of a freelance guy. Others that you have to look at, which I was a little surprised on a couple of these, obviously Crypto.com. Chris is going to be there. You've got Vlad coming in from Robinhood. Kraken's CEO will be there. Then, of course, you've got Michael Saylor, Brian Armstrong. I mean, this is definitely the who's who. Wisdom Tree also announced today. Brian Brooks supposedly has been confirmed. That's important because he'll be representing Hedera. And that's another one. Nazarov, of course, Sergey, that's coming in from Chainlink. Man, Multicoin Capital, World Liberty Fi, Exodus, and even Bitcoin Magazine seeming to be apparent that will be attending. Now, I want to go to a clip around the strategic reserve, because when everybody got the strategic reserve news the other night, and I want you also to think about the strategy that Trump's handlers, the press, or his cabinet is doing around releasing content. And this is what makes great TV, especially with Trump, is he trickles out this little content pieces, like, for instance, announcing the strategic reserve and signing the EO, and then not doing that at the summit. So he's extended the news cycle even more. Now, Scott Bessent came on the other day and was talking about what this meant for the strategic Bitcoin reserve and how maybe this could still apply to new acquisition by our government. Take a look.
We're starting with Bitcoin, but it's an overall crypto reserve.
Right. So how do you think about buying, though? And how should taxpayers think about that? Because effectively we'll be levering ourselves to some degree, given that we don't have a surplus of money right now, to make these investments.
Yeah, so that's why the first step is to stop selling, right. And then we're going to put a plan in place from there. So we're having this crypto summit. I'm going back to Washington this afternoon, and then we'll talk about the way forward.
All right, heading back to Washington, of course, he's coming over to the crypto summit, and maybe this is where the plan is revealed for what Bessent is talking about. But to his point, he said, hey, listen, the first thing we got to do is just stop selling. And that's a big one, because when you look at, what's been happening in crypto, imagine where the government, the U.S. government, it would be positive $17 billion had they just held the Bitcoin that they currently had under control. So I think that in itself will be a big advantage going forward. Now, there's a lot of other tokens that are going to be affected by this, but I want to stay on Bitcoin for a second, because there's other things happening that could also support this as a safety net. And what I mean by that is Texas just passed the strategic Bitcoin reserve legislation. This is a pretty big, because the 8th biggest economy in the world. Imagine what I mean by that. When you look at countries, this is a top 10 country, and that's in the state of Texas. But we have a lot of states like that: Florida, California, New York. And when you look at Texas coming in and being able to put some pressure, I think, on other states, most likely that's going to get passed here in Florida. Likelihood is Oklahoma is most likely going to get it through. Several other states that have already started to talk about this. And I think this is a big factor going forward. And let's say that the U.S. government, through congressional means, is not able to go into this strategic reserve and add assets to it. Maybe the states could be building on that pile. So very cool times ahead. Now, everybody's been talking about the amount of tokens that were mentioned the other day, obviously when Trump came on last Sunday. And he came out, which was really surprising to, I think, everybody, was that he announced that it was XRP, Solana, and Cardano. And that was something for the stockpile that many people did not, one, anticipate, and then two, it was a situation where we thought ETH would be included, and of course Bitcoin would even be mentioned. Then he came on right after that I think it was on Truth Social, and he said, yeah, of course, Bitcoin and Ethereum. So maybe that will be some clear up on that situation today. One, though, that was kind of interesting was that even though ADA was mentioned, Charles Hoskinson announced the other day, we played the video, where he was heading over to Japan. So basically had given up on the potential of being at the crypto summit to support Cardano, and has, of course, with what the news was this week with Japan launching SBI, starting to accelerate their digital asset structure that they've put in place for Japan to really go forward, and also dropping capital gains tax. All of this was very positive for the Japanese market. So, of course, Cardano is a big asset within the Japanese community. So, probably a good thing for Cardano overall. One other thing I want to touch on here, of course, is Peter Schiff. He has been always in our face. Whichever country is the leader in crypto, it's the loser. The more money a country diverts to crypto, the less capital it has to fund the production of real goods and legitimate wealth creation. The worst thing any government can do is encourage or subsidize this waste of resources. You could simply use the word internet in this very statement. And this is often what was used in that era. In the early 2000s, this is exactly the kind of rhetoric that we heard out of investors, people like Peter, as well as DC, that we don't think the internet's ever going to be a thing. This is a big waste of time. Why would we invest in something of that nature? Why do we even need, to create regulation around it? It's never going to do anything. Obviously, we know the difference there. And I think that's the difference of what we're seeing in the space right now, is that there is an era that we are about to enter that I think blockchain brings to a level that maybe is very similar to what we saw in the early state of the early launch, I should say, of the internet in 2000. So it's a time where I think a lot of people don't realize what the opportunity is, for sure. Solana, of course, teams up in the USA, and this is something that we're going to probably see. Let me zoom in on that for you guys so you can see the tweet. This is their event, Accelerate. It's going to be happening in May. Now remember, in May, you have the Bitcoin conference, you have XRP Vegas, you've got a lot going on already in May, and now we've got Solana doing their Accelerate conference the 19th through the 23rd in New York City. So this is going to be the most important U.S. event of the year for the ecosystem, and I'm just happy that Solana is going to drop an actual event in the United States. And it's good to know, but They also talked about that they are going to be in just 2 months. We've saw all this happen. Of course, David Sachs came in and has restructured a lot of what's going on within the administration. Whether you like David Sachs or you don't like him, because he's kind of got that VC side of things. He's been in the SaaS industry for a very long time, software as a service industry, and in many cases he's been invested in a lot of these tokens. So I think a lot of people were a little bit concerned around his positioning there in the White House administration. But the good thing is that Solana is bringing the game home, and I think that's the thing that is most intriguing, and I think it's going to be helpful. And here's the big advantage, is that we could see some opportunities pretty quickly coming in. All right, so the guys are sending me some stuff, so I want to pull up on what the team has got. All right, so what do we have here? So it looks like Mara is coming in. Yeah, okay, so it looks like they are showing that they are getting ready to go live here. So Theo was over there from Mara. I see a few others showing up in there as well. So looks like it's happening today, guys, at 3 o'clock. So good to go there. Let me go over to this right here also, because this was something that was kind of interesting to me. I had thought Solana was not going to be at the event or at the Crypto Summit. And there's a photo here that's kind of interesting. This, of course, coming in from Lily Lou. We had Lily on not too long ago. That, of course, is Tolly. And if you guys know anything about DC, you know that this is cherry blossom season. Now, granted, there are cherry blossoms in Japan as well, but that looks to me like K Street. And K Street is in DC, so right there, could we have Tolly possibly showing up in there? All right, so let me run into, looks like guys are sending me some stuff, so I'm going to pull it in. What's it under, guys, and I'll pull it up. Okay. The guys are sending me some stuff, and we've got, man, there's just so many things breaking right now. So you got, is it the Porter? Yeah, talk about the country. All right, so let me pull it up right now. The guys have, man, I'm telling you guys, the stuff that's breaking is literally live. Woo, crazy. All right, so 4 states, U.S., we're talking about the Porter piece, right? Okay, here we go. Many do not realize, of course, the 4 states in the U.S. count for 4 of the 14. We just hit on that. 4 of the 15 largest economies in the world. Russia's economy is smaller than California and Texas. Is barely bigger than New York and Florida. But you can kind of see those are the kind of comparisons that we're dealing with when you can put the states in here where they are building in these Bitcoin strategic reserves. And that is a huge opportunity here, I think, in general, for, as I said, for what Bitcoin is doing. So back to Solana. When you look at where Solana has been over the past few years, because it's been all the way down from $8 to where it's holding today. And I think a lot of people don't realize, but there has never been a real major event in the United States. And I think Breakpoint has never been here. So I think that will be possibly a coming out party, especially because it's in New York for Solana. All right, we're going to go over to the poll real quick. We'll take a look at the charts here in a second and see what you guys think. All right, how will crypto market react to Trump's speech? Positive rally. Everybody's neutral and nothing happens, holding at 26% and negative 18%. So very bullish, I think, here, guys. Even if you go neutral, that's a very bullish statement. And of course, if you go to the 1-minute chart on Bitcoin, over the past little bit, I mean, we've already started to edge up almost a percent here. So not bad in general. I'm on the 1-minute chart here on Bitcoin as it's starting to kind of go. And everybody's kind of waiting for, President Trump to go out and go live. Other things I want to kind of hit on too is Solana, because this is one that continues to kind of go sideways a bit. If you go to let me go to the daily on Solana, and we'll zoom back out, because this is one that has been in and out. Sentiment has been very erratic, but it has flatlined a little bit over the last little bit, as you guys can kind of see here. It is holding slightly well, holding it around 146. Let me know if you guys are, and I'm kind of curious, because this is something that many of you are continuing to ask me on Twitter, is where are the biggest bags? And this is something that I talk about all the time, is diversification is really, whether you're in a slew of altcoins, and what those would say. I would simply say, for most of you, if you don't do this now, is stay on the American tokens. I think the American tokens will continue to do very well, whether you're on XRP, Solana, Avalanche, even Cardano to a certain extent. I think we'll see some opportunities. Chainlink, of course, and the big one that I'm watching right now is SWI. So pretty big deal. SWI is one that we continue to see. I'll get to the chart here in a second, and I'll pull this up. All right, so we've got more stuff. Literally, the guys are sending me stuff as it's happening. And we've got news streaming into you. All right, here we go. This, of course, is, make no mistake, this is an inflection point for America. We're grateful to POTUS for the meeting this moment. The administration immediately getting to work on building the future of financial system. Honored to be with Brian Armstrong. Of course, we're talking about there, thanks to, of course, Trump and Susie Wiles. This is, of course, Trump's executive, government affairs, and pretty much his right-hand person. David Sachs, of course, and a handful of others for engaging us today. So big deals for sure. This is going to be a big one, guys. I think there's a lot happening. They are in the halls of DC right now as things start to break down. And this is a crazy sign to see this happening right now. After everything you guys have been through in crypto, after everything, and if you're brand new to crypto, first of all, welcome into the game. But I think a lot of people don't realize just the amount of pain, the amount of frustration, the amount of, almost sheer fear in many cases that you've gone through. So kudos to you. If you've been around, if you've seen us for the last 5 years here broadcasting, then you know that today really marks kind of a new evolution, I think, in the future of crypto. And it's one that we're going to continue to cover. We've got a lot happening over there. Looks like they are lining up. I've got a glimpse of inside the White House coming in. Let me pull this. Yep, let me pull this up because the guys are feeding us information literally as fast as things are happening right now. Let me pull this up for you guys. This will give you another good feeling of what's going on in DC right now. That is a glimpse inside the state dining room, which is pretty much where we are right now. Let me kind of zoom out on this and we'll see what we have in terms of name tags. There's Brian Steele, Michael Saylor is there, handful of others coming in. So everybody's lining up. Looks like we are about to get rolling here. So stick around for that. We will take a look at some more charts and get into that. By the way, if you guys have not jumped over to our website, which is paulbaronnetwork.com, I want to show you some new things that are happening over there. One of the things, if you do not know, is our Diamond Circle. This is like our private group that you guys can all be a part of. And one thing that we did was we shifted over to Telegram as one of our communication tools. Even though there's a lot of scammers out there on Telegram, just understand that if you go to our website, use our Telegram link, that's going to get you to the right spot. So you can join our Telegram group. I'm in and out of there almost every day. And we've continued to grow over there on that. Matter of fact, that Telegram group is getting very large. So check all that out. And of course, we've got a ton of shows that we continue to cover. Lots happening over here on the show. And of course, if you guys are not in our merch area, you should check out our merch too. We've got a lot. I love the Crypto for America stuff that we put together there. So some very cool things happening for sure. Let me go back to the charts real quick and get on SWI, because this is one that, as we've talked about before, when you are on the daily chart and you look at the history of our entries here on SWI, this has been a great opportunity, I think, for what SWI has been able to do. Most likely, SWI Network is going to be announced possibly in some way in the strategic reserve, or I should say the new stockpile. That's a big one. So for sure, happening there. Yeah, was that another piece that you guys had? Okay, so let me pull into one more thing. Man, the guys are they're just pushing through stuff onto me like crazy. And this is another one. Let me pull this up here for you guys. And we're just trying to get, this is crazy what's happening right now. So this is what do we have here? Let's take a look at who's in the group there. I mean, it looks like everybody is lining up there. Yeah. And I can't really. I mean, you got Brad Garlinghouse right there. Okay, Garlinghouse is in the room. And then I see a couple others, Tom Emmer coming in, a handful of staffers that are supporting this. So this is a huge representation of the crypto industry for sure. Going to be huge, going to be huge. For sure. All right, we've got some other stuff. Make sure and drop some comments down below. Guys, we want to get to as much as we can for you guys. And we're going to cover some more news as things start to heat up on the live stream. I love this. The guys are coming in so quickly. So Decrypt, this is a story coming in just in. There's been no conversation about selling gold to buy Bitcoin for strategic reserve. This is coming in from Sachs. I see people speculating about this online. So the Treasury and Commerce will decide on how to add to the reserve. Here's a key statement here, is we will decide how to add. And those conversations about what those might be. So there's already talk about them figuring out ways to get into this. And this is the thing I talked about earlier when we had Evan on, which, by the way, if you want to go back and check that out, we did a lot of altcoin predictions on that show. There's a lot there that are for you, whether you're on the ETH guy, XRP guy, doesn't matter. We did quite a few. But the point I'm getting at is with what Sachs is trying to really kind of put forth here is I would look at it this way. If you look at the potential of investing in something like this, I'm always upset when I realize I missed the opportunity. You know, and I think that's what maybe the federal government is probably going to be looking at and saying, listen, we left 17 billion on the table already. And if Bitcoin does make it over 100K again, and here we are launching on Crypto Reserve Day, Strategic Reserve Day, and Bitcoin is priced at 87K, why am I not investing in this for the American people? You know, is this something, it's just kind of like gold. If you look at it, the strategic reserve of gold in Fort Knox, the amount that we're holding and what this could mean, you know, in terms of a reserve in general is huge. So definitely a good one. Let's take a look at some other tokens. Avalanche has been one that has been highly suppressed here recently. As you guys know, the big fall off on Avalanche. But a lot of people don't remember the rise of Avalanche, which came all the way down from about $9 to where it's trading right now at 20. So many people hopefully will not round trip this one, is kind of the community I think that's being discussed right now is Avalanche going to be one that would plan further? Of course, yeah, there's, I see stuff coming in on the side over here from Garlinghouse. He's definitely, they're getting ready, man. This is going to be a good one. Let's take a look also at a couple other tokens I want to cover, and one of them is HBAR. And this is another one that continues to be one that, for me, has been an outperformer. And, you know, we've had Hedera and Mance on the show. We're going to actually have their team coming back in, it looks like next week or the following, for a big announcement. So be on the lookout for that. We'll drop it. By the way, we drop a lot of these interviews, especially if there's an early interview. We will give you guys sneak peeks of that interview happening over on our Telegram group. So that's another reason why you should join. But with Hedera right now trading really over the last few days on an upward trend, continuing to slide up, I think, in the sense that they've been able to hold this position. The one thing that I have been questioning in Hedera is whether or not they can get some sort of government council member. And what I mean by that is when you look at the Hedera Council and the number of companies, especially American companies, that are on that, whether it's Dell, Avery Dennison, there's several. The opportunity there of possibly maybe sliding in a government entity into that, which I'm still anticipating that what we're going to see coming out of DC is that most likely we're going to see a blockchain implemented across some sort of government utility, whether it is in Doge or we start to see it in many of these departments, much like what we've seen with implementation, like even in the California market where we saw Avalanche being used for their basically for some of their, yeah. All right, so we got more stuff coming in. Jeez, man, these guys are just going in crazy, pulling in stuff now. Is that the Caitlin Long piece? Correct. All right. So we've got more stuff coming in. Guys, and again, you know Trump. He likes to get everybody. All right, here we go. Not an accident. None of the 3 federal banking agencies are on the attendee list for the White House Crypto Summit, just as all 3 were excluded from the original White House Crypto Advisory Council. So federal banking agencies not being looked upon very nicely on there. So a couple other things down there. Stablecoins are on the White House Crypto Summit agenda. That will be a huge deal. I think we will continue to see the debanking issue addressed. That is an area I think we have often said, and of course that's the other thing when you look at stablecoins in general. The thing that I think when we get regulation, first of all, it will most likely give a lot of opportunity to businesses to really start to leverage in. I know for our own business, we've been able to utilize stablecoins more and more, but it still is a struggle of being able to get in and out of U.S. dollars. And of course, we are seeing this starting to transition a little bit within the ecosystem of trading. If you think about what Robinhood is doing right now, I don't know if you guys have ever checked this out, but with Robinhood's new integration into Phantom, what it's been able to do is enable you to be actually trade live out of your trading value out of Robinhood directly into your Phantom wallet. So you're literally being able to use that as your bank. That is something that is very intriguing because it continues to do 2 things. One, it helps the crypto OG to be able to still leverage against the traditional centralized exchanges, but it also helps a lot of the new people that are coming into the space right now start to get a chance to, try to do some things that are a little bit more exotic in their view. So be on the lookout for some of those things, because I think with Robinhood, as they continue to kind of go this direction, they are putting a lot of pressure. And I don't know if you guys saw them list Arbitrum just the other day. It's an interesting listing. I won't say any words more about that because we're probably going to do a video for it. But what I will tell you is Robinhood may be up to something very interesting. And Vlad Tenev, who's the CEO of Robinhood, is going to be at this event right here. So hopefully they're going to go live here in a bit. We're going to try to hang with you guys as long as we can. And if we don't catch it, before, the end of the day or before you guys have to cruise out, because you're at work or wherever you are right now, then we obviously will have a full follow-up for you guys as well. But we're going to hang here and make sure that we are queued in for the live stream for you guys. And I'm going to kill off a few points here. I want to go back to the charts and just take a look at where Bitcoin is right now. So let's go to the 1-minute chart. And then we've got some more news coming in here in a second. I'll bring that in a second. Let's see what we can. Hang on one second. We're going to pull up right here. Looks like, looks like they're doing some announcements. And as soon as they give the networks the go to air, then we'll see this. So Senator, this is Senator Warren raising a conflict of interest concerns in a letter. So this is the financial disclosure problem that I think a lot of politicians go through. Listen, Sachs is not, this is a smart guy. He has done his due diligence, I think, in being exit positions. It's interesting, though, to me, when you look at the cabinet members and the financial disclosures that are made for most politicians today, and the fact that we have so many senators and congressmen and people who have, and of course, for the most part, they have to make those disclosures, but they're openly out there investing in projects that they have either knowledge of or they have real capacity of changing something that might be happening within that project itself. And that could be a government investment, all that kind of stuff. So this is just typical posturing from Senator Warren. She continues to be, kind of on the offensive here because she has been in a position where she has not been able to hold the line of turning crypto into the bad guy. And that's the big problem that I think many people have looked at with Senator Warren. I'd love to get you guys' feedback, because when you look at the congressmen from your own area and the senators and even the House reps from your own area, Are you guys aware of how and what their position is on crypto? Now, if you're not, you should get very familiar with it, because I think this is something that is going to continue to be a very big catalyst going into what we will see in the midterms. And the midterms, of course, they'll start heating up probably end of this year. The amount of people that could get primaried coming out of this could be significant. And I think a lot of it will generate coming out of what's happening over on DC, especially in digital assets. And I want you to think about this for a second. The strength and the power centers of DC. We have seen the strength and power centers of DC primarily live in, really, I believe, in three areas. And the three areas that you have reside around banking, which we all know the contingencies that they hold both on the lobbying groups and on the potential of implementation into a lot of these working groups. Then, of course, you have defense. The defense, of course, has been in there for the last 3 decades, continues whether you believe in the whole industrial defense complex or not. The whole idea is that that is one of the other major lobbying groups. And then the last one is pharma. And Big Pharma has been continuously lodging into Capitol Hill. This is where it gets interesting, because we've now seen what was the first real success of a digital assets event that a lot of, I think, stir within the Republican Party and even to a certain extent within the Democratic Party. And if you guys remember, a lot of our coverage that we did months ago during the campaign in trying to understand Kamala Harris's position and where Trump was going, Trump understood the will of the people. And I think the whole idea of freedom, the connection to it, and also remember the people he had in his ear. You had Vivek Ramaswamy, very pro-crypto. You had, of course, David Sachs in his ear, Peter Thiel, also very pro-crypto, and the likelihood beyond that with J.D. Vance and his connection to Silicon Valley. There's a lot of interesting working parts here. So it is very intriguing, the things that we continue to see coming in. All right, so we've got, looks like we've got a tweet here from Eric Trump. And I want to pull this up real quick for you guys. All right, so this is, of course, Eric Trump. He's running one of the guys, Trump's new digital asset program. But today, Trump Organization filed a lawsuit. This is in Miami-Dade against Capital One. This is something that had been discussed before, to hold the bank accountable for their conduct unjustifiably terminating over 300 of the company's bank accounts. Wow. This was in 2021. Again, this goes back to the whole debank scenario that we've continued to see the banking industry. And that's the point I'm getting at, is when you look at the industries that have controlled the power centers of Congress for the last 3 decades, digital assets finally may get their day in the sun in terms of being able to at least contribute to what's going on. So this is, as I said earlier in the show, this is an era I think a lot of people don't realize just how much the shift is occurring and how and why it's going to be occurring so quickly. All right, a couple other things I want to hit on right here. This was an analyst dropping tabs. This is revealing the composition of World Liberty Fi. This, of course, is Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr., Barron Trump, all involved in this. And we talked about this earlier in the week. The one thing that is not in here that was added to this was the big announcement from SWE. And it hasn't been reformulated to know what positioning this will do, whether it pulls away from the Ethereum bag or if it resets the table on some of these other investments, which right now has been setting in a lot of USDT, which is interesting, and also Tron, Aave, which of course makes complete sense. And then you look at Chainlink, also a big one. SWE becoming part of this, which is another major indicator for the future of SWE, which is one that we've continued to be a big proponent of here on the show. All right, so charts, of course, we'll get to in a second. I do want to go back to another poll. All right, what will Trump announce today? The government will buy Bitcoins, not likely, an altcoin reserve. So this is going to be interesting if he does. an altcoin reserve, because I think with XRP, Solana, and ETH, notice the one that's missing there is ADA, not on that list. So I'm kind of curious of whether or not ADA, because he mentioned it last Sunday, would be possibly included there. I don't know. What's ADA doing on the charts? Man, well, right there is that's the ADA bar right there. So that's Sunday. What did that do on that day? Let's go from the day before. I mean, what do we have? That's an 80% move in 2 days for Cardano. If you're on the live stream right now and you guys are holding Cardano, just let me know. Just type the 1 or something, or just put ADA in there. I'd love to. That's probably going to jack the live streams algorithm, but I'm kind of interested because you're in a good position right now. I mean, this is a nice recovery, even though it has pulled back. A couple of red candles down right now with that link. Chainlink, I think, has been one that has slowly started to move up over the last few days, which is a nice little position right now, even though we are not seeing right now long term. And of course, we do these market analysis every once in a while, which is usually right before the weekends on Fridays, and we try to do some of the charts. So typically we'll do that and give you guys kind of a market outlook, which was the video we did earlier today with Evan. So lots happening. Back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin, the question is whether or not it's going to continue to hold. I think that is a big one right now, even though it's trending up on the daily. Let me go over to the 5-minute chart, and we'll take a look at whether or not Bitcoin is really just flat right now, on whether or not we're going to get some movement out of this crypto summit. So I think a lot of people are trying to go there. Yeah, okay, you guys are not sure. Crypto summit, people saying some things in there. Okay, they're having fun in the live stream section of it. And we will get into that today, of course, and taking a look. I have not looked at XRP. I know everybody's been asking about XRP. There's the 5-minute chart right now on XRP, dipping from that morning high at around 250, holding up. And of course, if you look at where XRP has been over the last little bit, not a bad chart overall. This obviously is the 5-minute chart, so not one, just great for trading, but not one to look at long term. And I think we have so many XRP holders holding it around 250. And again, this has been one that has been absolutely performing. But when you look at XRP today, I think the real position right now is whether or not Brad Garlinghouse gets a position of being able to secure some sort of strategic, well, this new stockpile that would include a lot of these alternative coins that would be listed within there, whether that is Solana, XRP, obviously what we might see outside of that with SWI, ETH, most likely going to be in that bag as well. So there's going to be a lot, coming in on that. Do we want to take some Q&A, or? And then we can kind of get into some of these. You guys have a lot of input here coming in. One thing that I think a lot of people have been asking about is the alternative in the marketplace. And I think this is something that I'm going to go to the daily here on the Dixie, because this is something that a lot of people are missing. And remember that the Dixie, this is the dollar, US dollar index. And one thing around the Dixie is when we've tracked this against not only the history of some of these cycles, but also the history of where we've seen the highs and lows of the S&P 500. The Dixie has been typically a downward trend, and it opens up these alternatives of risk assets. And it usually means that money's coming off the sidelines. If you take a look at the global M2 money supply, you start to see the opportunity of where this money supply can go. And remember, liquidity is one of the key things that makes this work. And if we continue to see the Dixie flowing on a downward trend here, this only means two things, guys. And I look at it on the potential of gold and also the potential of Bitcoin. Gold, you can kind of see right here. This is on the daily. I'll go back right here because this is really when gold started moving. It was right back here, if you guys remember, in February of last year. Look at that move. Even though it hasn't been a massive move, that's been a nice move of around 43% if you go to February of last year. Nice big trend line up there. Again, not as much as what we've seen within crypto, but definitely on cue with a lot of the current market as well. All right, a couple other things I want to get on right here. Looks like we've got another piece on the Japanese news that we had yesterday. And yeah, this is a new one right here. So breaking, Japan's ruling party is now proposing reducing the Bitcoin gains tax from 55 down to 20. So this again was part of that structure that was in yesterday's video that we did on the Japanese. And again, this gets back into the strategy around how Asia has been able to slide in and become really a world power when it comes to digital assets. I think when you look at just the strategies that SBI has done with XRP and Ripple, what they're trying to implement. And remember, when we broke that video down, one of the things with Ripple that you have to really pay attention to, especially at the time of where we may see a restructure within the banking system inside Japan, is the potential of Ripple actually, possibly circumventing, replacing SWIFT, especially on interbank transfers. So that isn't a big deal to most of the time, but it does involve Ripple as a whole. And I think once you get into the cultural side of where many of these tokens can, kind of position, especially in major countries, then of course you have to kind of look at the chains themselves and see how well they're doing. All right, guys, I think they are getting into more of a cocktail hour instead of a summit. And of course, that's kind of like how President Trump runs, that's for sure. He's one. Let's go one more poll here. Take a look and see what you guys think. Which coin will Trump not mention? Okay, Ethereum. Leading that will not mention Ethereum. You think he's going to? Well, it's interesting because we don't really have who would be there from Ethereum out of that group so far. I mean, we don't have anybody from, not anybody from any of the major groups outside. So maybe that's the one that would happen. Again, it's hard to say. With Trump, you just never know. He could come in and just absolutely restructure everything. And I think that's the thing that I'm concerned about is when we do deal with Trump, and this is the kind of thing I talk about, on some of our research meetings, is that a lot of times he just blurts this stuff out, doesn't really think it through, and he gets, or maybe he is, maybe this guy's playing 3D, I don't know, but he just will release something, or he does it in a way that it gives you enough information where it potentially even moves markets. And then he walks it back. It's much like the tariffs, what we've seen. He's continuously walking those back. Recently, of course, he just walked back the tariffs on India. He's now talking about amping tariffs on Canada in dairy products, which is another major area where we have that major trade imbalance. And I think when you get into the tariff side of things, these are the issues that Trump has been either masterful on negotiating, or just not doing anything at all. Looks like they are getting ready to go live. So we'll get a chance. You can see, man, that is who's who coming in. They don't have the audio feed set up yet, but it does look like we've got, Howard Lutnick there, Besant, David Sachs, President Trump is right there. Third to the right looks like Brian Armstrong. And is that Tether? Right next to Sachs? I can't tell if that's Paolo. He's next to Saylor. Okay. And then you got Emmer in there, Giancarlo. Wow, that's a who is that cat with the it's and of course you guys don't see this in our studio, but the Q monitor is about 15 to 18 feet away, so I only get so much of a feed when I'm looking at that. But anyway. All right. And yeah, so wow, what a lineup here coming in. I feel like I'm narrating a prize fight. Yeah, I love it. And I love it. Yeah, you got You got Lincoln. This is in the Lincoln, this is in one of the dining areas. I think they have it there at the White House. Anyway, we'll see how it plays out. I think this will be a major opportunity here for, again, if this is being aired, timing is a little bit sketchy because it's 3:40 here Eastern, but it's noon, 12:40 on the West Coast. So maybe there's enough there that we're going to get, enough people that maybe have not known what's happening in the place where they can actually hear and see the amount of movement that that the industry has made so far. Can you guys remember, just go back 1 year. I mean, we were in a position where we were lobbying the industry pretty heavily. If you guys remember, I mean, we were just going at it left and right here on this channel. And they're panning the video right now. Wow. Quite a few attendees definitely coming in. So what is that in the middle? What is that in the middle? I don't think that's a device because it doesn't have any wires on it. So what's he gonna unveil there? Is it gonna be like a big XRP-X? Or no, it's got to be a Bitcoin. Yeah, that's probably what it's going to be, a Bitcoin, something that will commemorate the whole idea. So a lot, but what I was getting at is these guys, and that's the other thing you guys don't get a chance to see here in our newsroom is research team is constantly throwing me stuff. So they're switching cameras, they're dropping in feeds. We've got stuff coming into my monitors here and then up to our single monitors. So there's a lot happening here in our studio as we do these broadcasts live. But one thing that was evident last year during the, especially during on the run-up, this is pre the Biden meltdown in the debate. And during that period of time, I think the amount of knowledge that was trying to be spread. Okay, so Trump's entered the room, everybody's standing. So that's a big deal. So they should be launching this live here in a second. So they probably just don't want the small talk being broadcasted and aired just yet. My guess is they'll probably turn on the mic here shortly. Yeah. So yeah, he's just coming through. There's Trump. Okay, man, he's showed up. So good for him. We're going to see some moves here, I think, now. And he's got his 3 cabinet members and the crypto and AI czar right there to the position on what's happening. No audio yet, but we will get it here, guys. Just pause in. Most likely they're going to be bringing it in. All right, so the point that I was getting at is that when you look at just the amount of time that's happened over the last year and the awesome amount of movement that we've had in the markets, not only from Bitcoin's position, but also I think just in general digital assets, because that's one of the factors I think a lot of people lose the bigger side of is where we were just 1 year ago. And even if you go back to the halving on Bitcoin and where that has been, I mean, geez, man, the run-up has really been from around $40,000 to where we were trading now at around 86. So that in itself has been a masterful plan for crypto in general, and I think it's starting to play out today. As soon as they, believe it, it's not on our end, guys, just so you know, we're waiting on them to broadcast audio on this, but I'm going to double check into our feed just to make sure. Yeah, it looks like we got it.
Being president, I trust you.
Cue in.
Shut up. I was always disappointed. I wasn't going to make it. I was going to serve 8 straight and said we did it the hard way, but maybe the more important way. So I will be with you as president, Johnny. So maybe you could just say a few words and show how beautiful the World Cup trophy is. Thank you. Yeah,
in Miami,
sure, please.
final on the 13th of July this year in New York, New Jersey.
Yeah.
But it's not that. It's
That's
only
a great
special
key.
because it's a key.
Well, you go ahead.
And because,
I trust you.
as you can see, if I manage to do that, it's a bit tricky. It's like that. So this is a trophy It is a trophy which represents, and that's why I think it's interesting to show this trophy exactly in this forum, because it represents the past, but it's also projected to the future. There is no other sports trophy which looks like that.
So what do we have here?
Engraved history
What is that, a
of the game,
FIFA trophy?
Soccer or football as we call it.
What is this doing in the crypto summit?
The stadiums, beautiful stadiums.
That should be just a Bitcoin, you know, one big Bitcoin.
This competition will take place. So at the same time,
These people, sometimes they use these events just for that. Trump is just like, are you kidding me? Who let this guy in the room?
I'd like to congratulate the President and the administration for not only for the World Cup,
Maybe.
The Carbon Cup, the World Cup, and the great work done, but also for this initiative that you are speaking about here. If I may, stadiums, add something with respect. I'm not an expert at all, but FIFA, as you know, is a brand which is globally known, a very strong brand. The soccer economy in the world is worth around 170 billion a year. 70% of that, Mr. President, is in Europe. So imagine the potential that there is around the world only in soccer if we develop. And so FIFA is very, very interested. I'm not an expert to develop FIFA coin, as you know, is a brand here from America and to conquer the 5 billion soccer fans. So if there is anyone here who is interested to team up
All right,
with FIFA,
so this is apparently a guy stepping on the conference, you know, that's trying to get his FIFA brand in there for soccer in some way, probably connected to one of the brands, who knows? Yeah. All right, here we go.
That coin may be worth more than FIFA in the end. It could be quite a coin, actually. Huh? Anyway, thank you, Johnny. Great job. I just thought you should see this trophy because it's really, you know, it's the biggest sporting event in the world, and
Well,
we
that's
have it here. And we appreciate being selected. Thank you very much, John. You do a fantastic job. And welcome to the first ever White House Digital Asset Summit. I know that many of you have been fighting for years for this, and it's an honor to be with you at the White House. I want to thank the White House AI and crypto czar David Sachs.
Sachs coming in. We're trying to sync it up right now, guys. Looks like PBS was having
being
an
selected.
issue.
Thank you very much, John. You do a fantastic job. And welcome to the first ever White House Digital Asset Summit. I know that many of you have been fighting for years for this, and it's an honor to be with you at the White House. I want to thank the White House AI and crypto czar David Sachs, Treasury Secretary. This is David right here, in case you don't know. You know David. And a man who's doing a great job as Secretary of Treasury, Scott Bessent, who's right here. Scott, thank you very much. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, wherever you may be, Howard. Hi, Howard. He's doing some interesting work right now with all that's going on. He's right in the middle of it and doing a great job. Thank you. SBA Administrator Kelly Loeffler. And hi, Kel. SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce. Thank you, Hester. Acting CFTC Chairman Caroline Pham. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer. Hello, hello, Tom. Representative Brian Stile. Thank you. Brian, thank you very much. Digital Assets Council Director Bo Hines. Good, Bo. Great job. And many other distinguished guests. We have a lot of very distinguished people around the table. Some of them will be speaking. I want to thank Marco Rubio also, who's right over there. And we have tremendous people very interested in this subject. And last year, I promised to make America the Bitcoin superpower of the world and the crypto capital of the planet. And we're taking historic action to deliver on that promise, as you know, around the table. Yesterday, I signed an executive order officially creating our strategic Bitcoin reserve. and this will be a virtual Fort Knox for digital gold to be housed within the United States Treasury. That's a big thing, Scott. The federal government is already among the largest holders of Bitcoin, as you know. One of the largest holders in the world, with as many as 200,000 Bitcoin obtained via civil law and various other forms of law, and including enforcement actions. These existing holdings will form the foundation of the new reserve. Unfortunately, in recent years, the U.S. government has foolishly sold tens of thousands of additional Bitcoin that were worth billions and billions of dollars had they not sold them, but they did sell them, mostly during the Biden administration. Not a good thing to have done. From this day on, America will follow the rule that every Bitcoin knows very well: never sell your Bitcoin. That's a little phrase that they have. I don't know if that's right or not. Who the hell knows, right? Who knows? Who knows? But so far, it's been right. And well, let's keep it that way. The Treasury and Commerce departments will also explore new pathways to accumulate additional Bitcoin holdings for the reserve, provided it's done at no cost to the taxpayers. We don't want any cost to the taxpayers. In addition, my order directs federal agencies to conduct an inventory of all crypto assets currently held by the U.S. government and determine how they can be transferred easily to the Treasury. Non-Bitcoin digital assets will be held in a new U.S. digital asset stockpile where they will be managed properly. My administration also is working to end the federal bureaucracy's war on crypto, which was really going on pretty wildly during Biden until the election came about. About 5 months before the election, he became a big fan because he heard how many people were in favor of it and how many people love it and respect it. But I guess it didn't work out too well for him. People understood what was going on and paved the way for groundbreaking innovations in institutional finance. Under the Bitcoin administration, regulators strong-armed banks. I mean, they really did. They strong-armed banks into closing the accounts of crypto businesses and entrepreneurs, effectively blocking some money transfers to and from exchanges, and they weaponized government against the entire industry. But I know that feeling maybe better than you do. All of that will soon be over, and we are ending Operation Choke Point 2.0. Now, some people really suffered. It was ridiculous what they were doing, but in the end, they came around, but they came around for the wrong reasons. They came around only because they wanted votes, and they saw that tens of millions of people were against them because of what they were doing. I also want to express my strong support for the efforts of lawmakers in Congress as they work on bills to provide regulatory certainty for dollar-backed stablecoins and the digital assets market. They're working very hard on that. This is a tremendous opportunity for economic growth and innovation in our financial sector, and will really go a long way. I think it's going to be a tremendous, we feel like pioneers in a way, of tremendous method of growth. And things are very much tied, and we want to keep it that way, the U.S. dollar. Long into the future, we're going to keep it that way. I hope lawmakers will send that legislation to my desk before August recess if they can. And they're very much working with you, and you know a lot of them, and a lot of them were committed right from the very beginning. So I just want to congratulate you all for being at the White House today, and a man who knows more about Bitcoin and AI and just about everything else than anybody, David Saxton. I'd like to have you say a few words, David.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're all here today because of your leadership, your vision, and your generosity, and I really want to thank you for that. We're also here because of your desire to make America great and to introduce a golden age in America, including for digital assets. And we're here because of your love of innovators or as you might say, high IQ people. We know you love high IQ people. And we have about 30 of them here in the room today. These are the top people in the digital asset industry. And one other thing that I think that you love is legal fairness. This is an industry that was subjected to prosecution and persecution for the last 4 years, horrible lawfare, and nobody knows what that feels like better than you do. So we really appreciate the fact that you understand legal fairness and that you're always willing to fight for the right thing, for legal fairness. You never back down. You stand defiant, even in the face of an assassin's bullet. It's an inspiration to everyone in this room, I think. So it's an honor.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I just want to say it's an honor to work for you. It's an honor to work for a president who works every day to get so much done on behalf of the American people. Your administration is moving at tech speed. It's really amazing. It's actually faster than any startup that I've been part of, is that your administration moves even faster. So I just want to say thank you for having me be a part of it. I've enjoyed every minute of it. I love working for you, and thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you, David, very much. Appreciate it.
And now I just want to pass the ball to Secretary Besson.
Scott?
Good. David, so today, when President Trump has signed the executive order to establish the strategic Bitcoin reserve and stockpile, we're going to position the United States as a leader among nations in the digital asset strategy. It's important for the United States to recognize this fact and get ahead of the other nations in the digital age. We applaud the President's direction to use the digital assets already in possession of the nation, and we are going to establish this Bitcoin reserve. We will use this authority to augment the asset side of the United States balance sheet. As I've said many times, President Trump is creating assets for the American people, while most past presidents have created debt, and a large part of this asset program can be in digital assets. We are going to end the regulatory weaponization against digital assets. The Biden administration's actions did nothing other than punish innovators, and that all of you have made it here today is really a testament to your fortitude. Much of Treasury's responsibility in this order relates to the tax code and determinations around risk weightings, and I'm here to assure you that we are going to work with the controller of the currency, the IRS, and we're going to rescind and amend all applicable previous guidance. And we are going to put a lot of thought into the stablecoin regime, and as President Trump has directed, we are going to keep the U.S. the dominant reserve currency in the world, and we will use stablecoins to do that. Thank you.
Technology is at the foundation of the Trump presidency. He understands technology, he embraces technology, and he's going to use technology to drive America forward. The blockchain and Bitcoin technology are a key part of that thinking, and embracing that, and here today shows how much a leader the Trump administration and our president is. He understands it. He embraces it. As you said, you're a pioneer in this place, and this is where we're going. We're using the blockchain, we're using Bitcoin, we're going to use digital assets to pound forward, and Donald Trump is leading the way. Can't be more proud of you today.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Howard. Kelly, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is truly a historic day, and as a crypto founder, I couldn't be more proud to be part of your administration. You're moving at the speed of tech for sure, and I will just say it's a great day to have the war on not just crypto, but the war on innovation done. And under your administration, we are truly going to enter into the golden age. And I'll just say, as the administrator of the SBA, small business is a tremendous network that crypto can be deployed against, and so the SBA is open to crypto. So I look forward to working with all of the leaders in this room to advance your efforts here. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you very much.
Tom, please. Well, Mr. President, I want to say thank you. I want to thank you for the amazing team that you put together. I want to thank you for David. I mean, this kind of a meeting, no one in this room could have envisioned this just a couple years ago. You are the one that has the vision. You're the one that said, we are going to do 21st century finance right here in the United States of America. I've been doing this for 9 years. It is amazing how far we've come, and that's a credit to you, Mr. President, and your leadership, and God bless you for doing this with everything else you're doing. And by the way, Americans love it. They're going crazy. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Everybody else? Go ahead, please.
Does anyone want to say a couple of words? Cameron or Tyler, do you want to?
You're very shy in front
actually,
of the camera.
Cameron, I think you said something earlier that I thought was really profound. You said that a year ago you thought it would be more likely that you'd end up in jail than at the White House. You, not to put you on the spot, because you didn't do anything wrong, but that was the environment a year ago. But do you guys want to say something, either one of you?
Sure, that was actually Tyler who said that. but it's
Sorry,
all right.
I still get mixed up.
But yeah, we never thought that we'd get attacked the way we did in our backyard after trying to do the right thing for so many years and always trying to raise the bar with respect to regulations. So it's truly wonderful to see how things have changed and how the pendulum has swung back in the way that it has. And we've always felt that the U.S. should lead in Bitcoin and crypto, and it's ours to sort of lead and win. And it's just wonderful what President Trump has been doing with this, and we look forward to working together. And thanks for inviting us, David, and setting this up.
Thank you. Thank you both. Please.
I was just going to say thank you, Mr. President. Cameron takes credit for a lot of my things I say, so it's not the first time. But the U.S. won the internet, and the U.S. should win crypto. So thank you for your leadership on this.
Thank you both very much. High IQ individuals around this table. That's what I always say. We need high IQ. So thank you very much. Would anybody like to say anything? Please.
Okay, we'll come right.
I just want to express my deep gratitude for the seriousness with which you're approaching our industry and how you're actually helping guide it in the right direction. I've worked with many central banks in other countries, and when I was working there, I was wondering why I, as an American citizen, can't help the United States financial system reach this higher level that the world is on course towards generally. Right. And so I'm very grateful that finally there's been a new level of kind of common sense and adoption of these ideas. Me and the other people in this room do believe that the crypto, blockchain, Web3 infrastructure is the next iteration of the financial system. And I think that the U.S. should have its leadership position continue in that new financial system. And I'm very, very happy to see people like David Sachs, Secretary Bessent, Secretary Lutnick taking this very seriously with their time, and very grateful to them too. So I'm just overjoyed to see this. And I think it is a big part of how the U.S. can continue its role in the global financial system. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I thought it was very important that we stay in the front of this one. This is a big one. And as you know, China is pushing forward and very strongly as usual. But we're way in the lead, as we are in AI and other things, and we want to stay there. So I thought this was very important, and we have some brilliant people sitting around this table. And it's an honor to have you involved, but we want to stay at the forefront of everything. And this is a very important day in your lives. I know you worked, some of you, very long before people really understood what was happening. And so I congratulate you, but this is a big day. Being in the White House is a big deal, and you have great support. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, please. Thank you very much. Thank you, media. Thank you. Please.
All right, looks like we're going to get some questions coming in. And some good statements there. Sergey from Chainlink had a really good statement, I thought.
That's good.
And just getting the U.S. to lead the market. So very good. Looks like they're setting up for the event. So, all right, guys. Well, hopefully everything happening from here is probably going to be closed doors. So get ready for some big announcements. coming out of the summit. I'm just curious what they're going to say. We'll see as they're going. Yeah, one more poll.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, wait a minute.
So before we begin, we're going to talk about how good some.
That's the loop. Yeah, that's the loop coming back in. I thought maybe they were coming back. All right, guys. We've got a poll, one last poll before we get out of here. Give me your thoughts real quick. All right, what do we see? 24 hours after the summit, crypto, we rally, crash. Man, everybody is split on this one, but the rally is leading on a bull run as we get rolling in. All right, you guys, if you're not in our Diamond Circle, get in on that. It's a great place to connect with us. Also, hit us up over on Telegram. Check me out there on X, @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.